Momentum. Two passionate and busy moms sharing the quest to achieve entrepreneurial success.
Hi, welcome to Momentum. I'm Ariella Vaccarino.
And Theresa Ofstad.
And this is our first Zoom interview that we're going to be working on. We're going to release it audio for sure.
Yes.
Maybe only Zoom clips, maybe the full Zoom. We'll see how it looks.
We'll have to work on editing and see how we can get this launched live video.
Please introduce our guest, Theresa.
I am so excited today to welcome our guest, Menina. Menina and I know each other from my past life and past job that I was in. I worked with her and her husband on an amazing program throughout the city. I was helping them to find the right place for their events and their hotel stays, to bring all these amazing dancers from around the world to teach them about the Hollywood Summer Tour. Ooh. And so we'll hear more about that a little bit in our interview here today. But, you know, just Menina and I have known each other ever since. And it's amazing all of the pivoting that she has done throughout this pandemic. And so, you know, we'll talk about that as well. And I'm just so excited that you're here today, Menina. Thank you so much.
Menina Fortunato, right?
Fortunato. Well, if you want to say it with a Portuguese or Italian Latin accent, yes, Fortunato. And it would be Menina, which is Portuguese. D'amore is my middle name, which means of love in French. And Fortunato means lucky or fortunate in Italian, although I'm not Italian. Awesome. And then I didn't change my name when I got married either, so that's more confusion.
Oh, yeah. So is your husband Italian? You probably get that a lot.
Yeah.
So are you in Canada? You're in Canada?
I am. My business technically is still based in Burbank, California. I haven't changed that part, but I am back in Vancouver, where I'm originally from.
Got it.
We moved back as a family in 2016. I convinced my husband that it would be a better place to raise a family. As much as I love LA life for my business, I didn't feel like it was the best place that I wanted to raise a family. It's just very different. The things that matter to you when you're young and single or don't have kids suddenly matter, you know, like education and healthcare and commuting, traffic, like time, all these things. Like, and I used to live in my car, and I'm sure anybody that lives in LA knows that, where you pretty much, you leave in the morning, you do your day-to-day stuff, and then you don't get home till late at night. And that was my life. And I lost so much time. Now my kids go to school like 7 minutes away. I can, you know, I don't live in my car anymore. Now I think a 30-minute drive is far.
Yeah, totally.
You have worked with some amazing people, and what I love about you is that you really do incorporate your kids a lot in your travels and your business. So tell us more about that.
I've always had the travel bugs. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. We're known for being world wanderers, travelers by nature, but I also grew up in a family that used to travel a lot. So my parents used to drag us around as kids. So they actually, I grew up watching them produce dance conventions and competitions. So every weekend we would be in different cities as they were hosting their events, and they would put me to work as a teenager. And so I got a chance to be in the business and traveling with them. And then we'd visit family, because I have my entire dad's side of the family, which is in Portugal. So that we had to go overseas every year or every other year to go visit them. So I was already used to traveling. Plus, with my professional dance career, before having children, I used to tour. So I used to tour with Earth, Wind & Fire. I was on tour with Rain, who's a huge Korean K-pop star, and I toured with Luis Miguel. If anybody is Spanish speaking, they know who he is. He's like the Frank Sinatra of the Latin American music. Anyway, so through my dance career as well, I also traveled. I mean, I was on tour for up until 4.5 months pregnant, until that little baby bump started to poke through, and I was like, oh, guess I can't do this.
You were dancing.
Yeah, I was doing 90-minute shows on my first pregnancy. And traveling and, you know, all the things. I was like, well, whatever, I'm good. I had the energy. I mean, I needed more sleep, but I was able to get through the shows. And then, you know, and then there was a lot of people telling me like, oh, when you have kids, you're not going to be able to travel anymore. Even my own mother was like, I'm never going to see you. You know, it's going to be so expensive for you to start traveling now, because now you're a family of 3. And then I was like, well, they're free under 2, so I'll just do a lot of traveling when they're under 2, which I did with my first 2 babies, where I dragged them everywhere. Like, I literally would do jobs where I would be teaching at dance conventions, and I would say, I can only do the job if I can bring my baby, because I'm breastfeeding. So I will work out hiring, you know, a babysitter while I'm working. I just so happened to always know a dance mom in every city that I went to. So I was like, hey, can I hire you for the day? So they would hold the baby while I'm teaching. And then on my breaks, I would like hide in a room and do my breastfeeding and then go back out. Because it was more of an inconvenience for me to try to do the whole pumping thing. And I did the pumping thing after the year, but the first year I wouldn't take any jobs. With my second, I was like that. The first one, I thought I could do the pumping thing at 6 months. That was way too early. That was an absolute nightmare. My poor husband was like, could not give a bottle. So I was like, okay, baby number 2, I'm waiting a year. So I waited a year for baby number 2, but then baby number 3 was so different because it was 2020. I had my lockdown baby, April of 2020. Had my home birth then. So
Oh,
I
until
didn't
then,
get
just to clear up. So until
Yes.
then, you're still dancing, you're still on the road, you're still dragging.
traveling, dragging my kids. Yes, Theresa knows I did a dance intensive in LA every summer called the Hollywood Summer Tour. And my kids, I dragged them around. Like I had assistants that would help me with my clients, and then they would also help me with my kids, and or one of the dance moms would help me with the kids, and I would drag them around just like my parents dragged us around. And they just became, and then as they got a little bit older, I put them to work too. So they had to help with set
Family
up and
business. Yeah.
it is. And I remember, we've been to London many times. We would do a big expo with like 20,000 attendees, and I would put my kids to give out flyers, and they would never say no to a child giving out flyers. But if I hired an adult to do it, they're like, oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. But they see cute little 5-year-old giving out flyers, and they're like,
Awesome.
oh, okay.
Oh, that's
Take
brilliant.
that, yes.
So 2020, fast forward, that was a whole different experience. Then everything, as much as I love travel, when I was pregnant with baby number 3, I was like, you know what? I really wish I didn't have to travel as much as I did, because it is getting exhausting, especially now that we're on baby number 3 coming up. And there were still trips that I did. Like once the kids were old enough, I would still take weekend trips. So that's when, after 2, especially, they would stay home with my husband and I would be off for the weekend. And I actually kind of enjoyed it, because then it became like my going to work, quote unquote, was a vacation to me.
Oh, I know
Yes.
that.
Because
Yes.
because I had my own bed and nobody's crawling on top of me,
Right.
kicking me in the face. I just
Yeah.
have to get myself ready instead of like getting everybody else ready before me. So I had all this me time. I was like, wow, going to work is like a vacation.
Yeah.
So when I came back home, I missed my kids, and I could be mom during the week and, take them to school, lessons, do whatever, all the things. And then I'd be gone again the following weekend. But then it started to get.
So sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. Your career was really filling your cup. When you would go away, you would get to express yourself, make money, be in charge of yourself, then come back and be all excited to be a mom. Right.
Exactly. It was like my chance to like just recharge, because as I'm sure every mom can relate, when you're just like constantly with your kids 24/7, like you need a break, you need some self-care. And to me, self-care was sleeping in my own bed, having a bath by myself.
But you weren't just going to a spa. I mean, you were going to work.
No, I was going to work. I mean,
so
but I love my work. I love what I do. I've never had a regular 9-to-5 job in my life. I've evolved my entire career around dance, but I've been having to pivot and shift gears a lot and change with my lifestyle as new life changes happen. And then, 2020 was a big life change for me. That was like, I felt like I went through a midlife crisis, and I feel like a lot of people did. I lost
big time to pivot. And I saw you a lot. I shared in other episodes that I took a lot of those kind of, personal development, self-help, inspirational, motivational courses online. And I've seen you in some of those communities too. And I know you've done a lot of work there during the pandemic and the pivoting, and it's amazing the stuff that you've done there too. So we would love to hear more about that too.
Yeah, no, it was a huge slap in the face, because I've always been pretty self-sufficient. I've always done pretty well for myself. And then suddenly my events business, which was probably my main bread and butter, even though I did little gigs here and there, that was like a good source of the family income. And then it suddenly just stopped. Like I went from very comfortable 6 figures to 0 overnight. And at first I was like, well, it's okay. April 2020, I had my baby. I was at home. I was like, okay, I was prepared to like stay at home anyways for 3 months and not travel. And I was going to do my first big event, the Hollywood Summer Tour, later that summer. So I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I didn't think anything of it. I was actually enjoying. Everybody was home. My husband was home. Normally he's traveling sometimes too. So I got everybody around to help, so that was actually a nice treat on the short term.
Yeah.
But then my savings and everything started to deplete. I'm like, okay, how are we going to pivot? And then I did have a few people that were pre-registered from months ago. And it was like, do I cancel? Do I give them something different? So then I did my first online dance event that summer. And I thought that I could pay my vendors and pay my client, my staff the same way I used to. But then I didn't have the revenue to be able to cover that. So I operated in a loss, and I was like, ooh, this is not good. And of course, it's my first time using Zoom, which is now part of my everyday life. But at the time I was like, oh my gosh, do I need to hire somebody to use the Zoom thing? Because I'm stressed out. There's too many buttons, and like, how do I pin, and how do I bring people in, and the lighting and the sound and the camera and like all the things. And then I was live streaming in LA, Vegas, and London while I was in Vancouver. So I'm running a virtual event with people. I have teams of people in these different cities, and I'm counting on them to make sure the internet connection is good, making sure the sound is good, the video is good. And I'm literally conducting this the event from my bedroom. I bought this whole backdrop so nobody knew I was in my bedroom. But I wanted to give my clients something, because I didn't want to just be like, let me just cancel, give you back your money. I was like, let me give you something. And it was good for them. They actually did enjoy it. I mean,
I think back then everybody was just desperate for anything. So if anybody was making an effort, I think everyone appreciated it. I knew quite a few people that are in the live event business, and it was just completely dried up. I mean, there was just no work. So the fact that you found a way to do something, and then it probably pivoted you for more things to come.
And that's exactly what happened. That was kind of the stepping stone. That was my training wheels. Like that was the okay, this is my first time online doing live. There was a lot of pitfalls, but we made it work. And yes, you're absolutely right that people were just appreciative to have something. Live was very challenging for me. I was breastfeeding at the same time while running the event, and like I would be like off camera, I'm like, hold the baby. And he was only 3 months at the time. So it was very, very challenging. I'm like, I gotta find a better way. So then there was another problem that came around. I was stuck at home, and I needed to get back in shape after baby number 3.
Okay.
And I was
frustrated into something.
And I did turn that into something. And the thing too is I was dancing with my baby initially in the baby carrier. So, or I'd use him as weights and lift him up, so he became my weight. And then he also, I like the secret. That's the thing. If you just had a baby, the secret to losing the baby weight is to exercise with your baby. I mean, that was just a game changer for me. But then I suddenly
interaction too between you and your baby. It
was
connection,
It was a great bonding experience. But here was the challenge. As I was teaching, well, having an unpredictable baby as your workout buddy on a live class was chaos. I mean, there were times where he just wasn't feeling it, and he would like break out screaming and crying, and I'm like trying to keep my cool and composure, like, oh, moms, let's keep going. Like, oh my gosh.
But I bet they appreciated it. They've all been there.
It's like the show must go on. So I couldn't just be like, sorry guys, I'm going to take 5 minutes to go change my baby, or I'm just going to take 20 minutes to go breastfeed. I'll be right back. No, you can't do that.
Right.
So that was a whole nother problem. And then I was undercharging. That's a whole nother thing. I had never worked for so little in my entire life. It was very humbling. Like even my own husband's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to just get back into shape. So if I can make a couple dollars.
You're getting paid a little bit to get into shape. But it's hard to also know what to charge online, because I sell voice lessons to go, CDs and books and videos. And then I have some live things coming up, and I have some weekly things that are going to be coming up. And it's very confusing what to charge. It's because there are people who can pay a lot, but you want to be available to the masses. I mean, I'd love you to talk about that a little bit, because that's always something hard for me.
Pricing was a lot of trial and error. I thought, like an in-person dance class, people paid $10, $15, $20 to take a class, but I didn't realize how hard it would be to get clients, because moms were not my clients. I was dealing with their children. Those were the clients. And one thing I realized is a big problem with moms as clients is moms will do anything for their children.
100%.
They will spend all their last dollars on their children. But when it comes to investing in themselves, suddenly it's like, oh no, I can't afford that.
Yes.
And they did not want to invest in, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's not really that much. I'm like, I'm barely charging. I'm like, I usually get paid hundreds an hour, and I'm like working for like nothing right now. Like, come on, moms, let's go. And then, so that was another obstacle too. So then I was like, I can't keep doing these live Zoom classes. Like they're exhausting me. I was like, I got to figure out some on-demand kind of classes, because And that actually, but that was another game changer for me. I was like, okay, if I can pre-record these classes when my baby is in the right mood for it, when I'm in the right mood for it, and then deliver a high quality class that could live forever. And then moms can access it at any time around their schedule. So they don't also have to show up live because maybe their baby wants a nap. Maybe it's feeding time. Maybe it's time, whatever. So then that's when things started to shift. I was like, okay, let me get off of this live Zoom thing. And also too, there was technical issues with Zoom too, with music and sound. It was,
as a voice teacher, I beyond know that you can't even hear them sing and play the piano at the same time.
It's horrible.
One of the sounds always clips out. You always have to nod your head like you can hear them, but you can't hear them. I totally know all about that.
And the syncing was off. Like the music was off with the video, and then everybody looked like they were off beat. And I'm like, okay, this is a hot mess.
Awful.
So, but at least the on demand, I could have good video, good sound, good audio, retake if it was a bad take, whatever, you know, and then produce a nice, highly quality video that moms can access. And then I don't have to work as hard. I can just create this awesome video and then another awesome video and then just add a library. So I eventually created this whole library. I started with a 6-week challenge for postnatal, and then I did a whole super moms boot camp that was 12 weeks, and then it turned into 6 months. And anyway, so that whole trial and error period, I was creating great content, but again, I still was undercharging. That was a whole nother thing. And I was like, okay, someone's got to give, because I can't be putting all this energy and effort with little to no return on my investment.
Yeah.
So that's when I started researching like online coaching, high ticket coaching, like all of these different, so that whole online coaching space was very new for me.
Yeah.
And then I'm hearing people that are charging upwards of $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for online coaching. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How are they able to close 5,000, you know, and upwards from there? And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You know, so I ended up hiring a business coach that specialized in high ticket sales. And it was a big investment that I was like, you know, that goes back to like, I'll spend money on my kids, but spend money on me,
spending it on ourselves. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a lot of money. And, you know, I got a lot of grief from even my husband. He was like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? And I was like, I need help. I'm like, no, everyone in my family and in my circle, they're all business people, but nobody specializes online business is a different beast. How do you stand out in the crowd? How do you like, and you're no longer differentiating yourself by location. Like normally if you have a brick and mortar business, you're only competing with your local market.
Right.
When you're going into the online space, you're competing with a global market. Now you have a global audience, which is great, but you have to have a global competition. So then how do you set yourself apart? You know, and I felt like I had something very unique, you know, dance fitness. And then I even hired nutritionists and chefs. And so I did this whole like nutrition and mindset and dance and like all the things. And my clients were getting amazing results. I'm like, this works. This is awesome. Why can't I get clients? Like, it was just so frustrating. And that's when everything changed. It was about 6 months ago. I finally hired the help that I needed. It was very humbling. I was like back against the wall. Like I was so desperate at that point. I was just like, it's been a year and a half. Almost 2 years of just trial and error, and I'm not breaking ground.
So let me pause you for 1 second. Until that point, there's so many things. You have so much to say, and I'm so fascinated, and I want to ask you like 1,000 questions. Just so you know. But
sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's amazing. But there's a lot of questions I have, because also you and I do something very similar, and I also provide these videos and different things. But first you said you had online on demand. What do you mean by on demand? That they clicked a link and start with? That's my first question. What was
so on demand is the recordings, the lessons are pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So they're on an online portal. For me, it was a web app that they could access from their phones or computers, wherever they want. And they do it on their time. And in addition to that, I would do weekly coaching calls for accountability, where we would meet and answer questions, make sure they're on track with their plan, not falling behind, because the accountability is really where the results happen. Because there's so many on-demand programs, but there's nobody, you don't have a coach. Nobody's actually like checking in with you and seeing how you're doing. And
was it your website? Was it your website where you signed up with a particular on-demand company? I mean, how did you?
It was a site called passion.io. So you can create your own app with this company, but then they can access it from their phone, but then they can stream it or mirror it to their TV and be able to do the workouts, you know, from their phone to the TV.
But did you have like a phone list that you went? I mean, you went on this app, but how did you find any clients? I mean, did you have a nice
social media marketing? Social media marketing. It's I would say Facebook is probably where the majority of my clients have come from.
Yeah.
It started in the mom groups. You know, sometimes you can't sell the mom groups because of their rules. So then you got to cleverly interact and engage, add value, ask questions, connect with somebody, add them as friends. Like there's a whole strategy that goes with that. I mean, I was throwing spaghetti at the wall at this point because I was just
that's
like,
what we're doing.
I was like, hey moms, anybody want to work out, get in shape? Anybody like dance? I'm over here, you know. And then through referrals, like if a mom was happy, then they might refer a friend. And once I worked as my coach, there was actually a whole like social media marketing funnel that
and how were you getting back to the beginning of it, how were you recording it? Did you just put your phone up, or did you have like professional equipment? Like how far did you take it?
So what's interesting is because my husband actually owns a production company, and we actually have some pretty high-end equipment. But here's the funny thing is I didn't even want to use any of it because I didn't know how to operate it.
Yes.
So clunky. Like my husband has these cameras, like these $100,000 cameras that usually, like I don't think he knows how to operate it properly. We always have to hire like a professional videographer. I don't want to hire a professional videographer to come to my house. And so I literally, in the end, I used my iPhone. That's all it was.
What I'm wondering. So I
used an iPhone, a ring light with a stand.
What did you do for sound?
For sound, I bought, I had a lavalier with like a mic, and then it connected to I recorded sounds separately into my computer. So I had a sound track that would record on my computer, and then I'd had the video from the phone, and then I would merge the two together in post.
And what did you use? iMovie, or what was your?
No, I use Final Cut. Final Cut is it's my software of choice. I know iMovie functions very similar, and Adobe Premiere. I mean, there's so many. You can even use it on your phone. But I was comfortable with Final Cut, so I would use the one track of the music and overlay it with the sound, and then I would also overlay the music as well. So I had to get royalty-free music, which is a whole nother beat.
That's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother thing. So I'm like looking through these royalty-free websites, paying their monthly subscription, being able to use their music, and trying to find stuff that I actually like, creating playlists, creating choreography that goes. It was a lot of work, let me tell you.
But these are the things, because people see the final product and they think that you just put your phone on, but you actually are dealing with so many different issues. I mean, from royalty-free music, I mean, who's even thinking about that? And then once you put it all together, did you do the editing, and did you do the sweetening and the fine? So you knew how to do that? You didn't bring in a recording engineer?
Yeah, no, I know how to do that just from my own entertainment company, because I've produced music videos and other things in the past. So I do know how. Normally for bigger projects, I hire people to do it, but I was working with a very limited budget here. So I'm like, all right, back to my old days of one woman show. Let's do this. So, you know, I would record something and then edit it the next day, and then output it, you know, a couple days later, be like, all right, moms, I got the new workout ready. I mean, when I first created my 6-week challenge, that was an absolute nightmare. I recorded a new class every single day, Monday to Friday. And I thought that I could be able to record all those 5 classes in one day with a baby. I attempted that. The most I could ever get it done is in 2 days. But even then I had retakes so many times. And then it was just so challenging. So my first beta clients, they didn't get the edited version. I got so frustrated. I tried that first video to edit. And I was so frustrated. I was like, I'm like, they're expecting a video tomorrow. I'm like, I just gotta release it. So I literally just released the raw video with the raw sound and me screaming into like, it was, the workout was fine, but the quality of the video was like mediocre. It was very, very exhausting in the end, but I did manage to, so fast forward to May 2020, hired my coach, restructured everything. We elevated my offer and made it a high ticket item.
Okay, so you got to the point, that's the thing we talk about a little bit, and I'm thinking about for my own business. You decided that you're going to invest this money in yourself, because it's very hard. Like sometimes I'm like, do I invest the money in some sort of business thing? Do you invest that money in somebody clean your house so you have some time? You know, it's like, I mean, like I'm doing my dishes. I'm like, well, if I wasn't doing my dishes, I could be doing, you know, it's like, how do you know when to invest, how much to invest?
100%.
You know?
I was a kind of at a place of desperation at that point, because I literally had done like every free challenge, free webinar, low ticket course, all these other and I just found like when I put in little, I got a little back.
Mhm.
And then I was like, you know what? I got to stop playing small. And I was speaking to like one of my good friends of 20 years. He did the whole Tony Robbins Mastery
Yes.
University, whatever. And then he did all these, anyways, he spent like over $100,000 in personal development. And I was like, you're absolutely nuts. I would never do that.
I couldn't.
And then
do that for
finally,
my kids. Yeah.
But
and
what
then
was
finally,
his outcome?
so his outcome is he also transformed his own life. He became a product of his own product. And now he's charging upwards of $10,000 to $15,000 per client. That was the one thing I learned from him. And he was also trying to shift my mindset. He was like, you're
Yes.
undercharging, you need to charge more, you
Yeah.
need to start investing more in yourself because you're playing way too small. Like he was talking all kinds of language and I was like, what are you talking about? And it's the whole like Tony Robbins motivational speaking stuff. And I was like, but then I also realized after all of this is that if you want to make a lot of money, you need to work on yourself. The more you put in and invest in yourself, the more that you'll be able to develop and grow as a person and in business, you know.
Yes.
Because you really need to expand your mind. It's not, for me, it wasn't my skill set. I had the skills, but I think what I needed to do is shift my mindset and also be open to learning a new way of doing business because my old ways of doing business just wasn't working.
So you were pivoting again. So we've heard all these different pivots that you've done. I mean, the entrepreneur mind, which you are 1,000% an entrepreneur, like through and through, has to constantly looking at a puzzle and shifting how they're going to do it, looking at it from a different
100%.
perspective and trying it again. And we've heard all these things. You did it one way, then COVID hit. So then you tried to do it this way, but that didn't work. So then, and you kept pivoting. And that's exactly how I want to look at my life all the time. And you know, I want to give that to our listeners. So now what happened when the business coach came in? Did you know this guy? Was he highly recommended?
I did not. Like, see, I was actually evaluating a few coaches. I actually interviewed with a few coaches, but something just clicked with this one. He's also the vice president of the Think and Grow Rich Foundation. He's a young guy actually. So I did, you know, at first I was like, you know, does this guy have a life experience to be able to coach me? Like I could be his mother, but I'm like, but he's onto something and all his clients are like doing really well.
Who was it? And I have to know his name.
Armin Shafi from highticketcoaching.com.
Okay.
I just gave him a plug, but
anyway,
I
know, call him.
I know, affiliates.
He's a young guy. So that's why I was a little bit hesitant. I'm like, well, maybe I should hire somebody that's more mature. But then I'm like, no, but maybe he's at the cutting edge. I'm a part of his elite coaching group right now. And they're clearing like $500K a month. And they're like,
how does it work? Do you have to pay no matter what? Do you have to pay a flat rate or you pay as you make money? I mean, how do people come up with these big amounts of money? Do they work with you? They're like, I'm going to take a percentage off what I can get you to make, or
they don't take any percentage. It's the same. It's on-demand group coaching is the business model. They help you craft your offer, package your offer, teach you how to sell your offer, create your marketing funnels. And then you're part of a community of people that are all also trying to do the same thing. But they're different niches. Everybody has a different niche. I was the only dance person in this group. Like I was all in head first. I'm like, this is a lot of money I don't have right now. So I got to figure this out. And I was like right into the modules, got into the lessons. I motored through it, you know, and within a month I was able to make my investment back. So then everything else was smooth sailing.
With you and your husband, you mean? Everything was smooth sailing with you and your husband.
Right. Totally. Always.
No,
everything was okay again.
You had to prove there would be a reason for investing in this money. Me too, because you know, I followed a lot of the same ones, you know, like you said, there was a lot of freebies during the pandemic, that 2020 year, there was a lot of things coming out for free. You get a lot of nuggets just from the free version. But then like you say, if you invest in yourself and you go for the bigger training, it can expand your capabilities even more. Our podcast came from one of those investments. Truly.
That's true.
That's so funny.
Tony Robbins had to pivot. He always did live events. He swore he'd never do it.
I saw him pivot as well.
And then he did his UPW first time ever live, virtual. And it was one of those moments. He said something that clicked in me. I'm a mom. As we mentioned, I want to invest in my kids. I want to, you know, help support my family. I don't do it for myself. And so in that moment, it was in the month of July, I think was the first UPW event, virtual. And I went, okay, well, I don't want to spend this money on me, but wait a second. I have a birthday coming up, you know, because he talks about being resourceful and figuring out how to come up with this money. I'll just ask for everybody to give me money to be able to participate in this first UPW event. And I did, and it was amazing. And I'm so glad I invested to be able to be at that event. But what's funny is my husband was like, what? You're going to spend this money on this? I go, don't worry about it, babe. It's all birthday money. It's not coming out of our pocket. It's going to be good.
It's going to be spent anyway,
And
right?
so in my mind, I had to like first prove to him that I could use this money for myself to be able to do this personal development. And then what was so funny about it, because it was in our home virtually up on our screen, I took over the whole den for 4 days, 3 or 4 days. And he kept coming down and he'd see stuff that I was doing.
Mhm.
Of course, there's a bigger personal development, a bigger investment.
The offer.
They all have these offers.
Of course, there's always a big ticket item at the end of the free challenge.
So what was
That's how it
so
works.
funny is I had to really like sell the what I had done to my husband, but he was listening in on the bigger ticket item. And he was coming to me going, well, if we did this, we could probably, he wanted to buy the bigger ticket.
Oh, that's funny.
He saw what a difference it made in me during that time and how I truly went full out during those 4 days. He saw the value of this bigger ticket item. I didn't purchase it, but it was like almost like, wow, he wants me to do this bigger one now too. But fast forward, I've done other free ones and I've been part of some of our Facebook groups we've been part of together. And then the one that we just kind of developed momentum was the mastermind one. And it's similar. There is a lot of on-demand stuff that you can do on Mastermind. Just listening to the tips and business, ideas and format that Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi does. For mastermind.com, it got our brains, flowing, and just this whole podcast just developed from that.
Yeah,
and
we had no plan to do this podcast.
Yeah.
We were just listening to that together for our own personal interests of things we were going after. But I also think we listen to things like that and spend money like that when we're really ready for it too.
Yeah.
So, we were ready
Timing
to
is
hear
everything.
that stuff. We needed it.
Yeah.
So that's also
That's
what
true. You have to be ready mentally because I will never forget when I did a first free challenge and somebody was selling like a $6,000 or $7,000 item. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. But and the people were buying into it. And I saw them. I was like, are you kidding me? And then I saw something else for like 25,000 for the year. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are actually signing up for this stuff. And I was like, these people are nuts. Like I wasn't ready. I was not mentally ready for it. And then suddenly, I don't know, I guess it was just like, sometimes you just got to fall flat on your face really hard and wake up and go, okay, you need to make some huge changes right now because what you're doing is not working.
So what are the changes you made? Like what's your advice for us, or what really sings to you for what you've done?
I feel like if you don't really truly know what you're doing, instead of just trying all this trial and error and throwing spaghetti at the wall, find somebody who's already done it and shortcut your success rate. Because I spent 1.5 years spinning my wheels, barely making $1. And where I actually thought, I shifted my mindset to think, I probably lost money for not hiring a coach sooner. Because had I hired this person maybe 1 year prior, I would be in a different position today, sooner.
Yeah.
But instead I learned the hard way where I was like trying to figure this thing out on my own because I'm, super mom and I can do this and, there's nothing I can't do. But having that mindset really killed me in the end because it was like, okay, my stubborn ways, clearly this isn't working. And I'm even reaching out to family for help and my husband for help and everybody's giving me their ideas. And although their ideas were great, they still didn't understand online marketing and online sales and online coaching. And I'm like, nobody in my circle actually does this stuff. So why don't I hire somebody that actually has done it and helped other people do it on a grander scale? So that's when, I just put my tail between my legs and I'm like, okay, I'm hiring somebody half my age right now. I'm like, okay, teach me, kid. I was just like at a turning point where I was like, I either quit. That was where I was at. I either quit this or I'd make a huge change. I mean, my husband, he was like, he's like, quit, Menina. He's like, this is ridiculous. You're just wasting your time right now. Like you're undervaluing yourself. And he was like, this is an embarrassment for you. Like, why are you doing this? And, and I'm like, I believe in my product. I just feel like, it's just like you have a good product but you you just need to get it on the shelf for the masses to
Yeah.
see it. Nobody knows about it yet. Like that's how I felt, right?
It's like our podcast.
Yeah. Well, and we
There
talk
you-
about that. We talk about that too, that, you know, our loved ones, our family members, they love and support us, but they don't understand the vision. They don't understand
No.
what your product truly is. And only you do until it's out on the shelves and it's
Yeah.
out in on demand or out in
Yeah.
the, you know, virtual world. And so
Mhm.
so there are a lot of times where family and friends can hold us back from pushing forward to make that dream happen. We
Well, 'cause
Totally.
they haven't done it. They can't see it.
Yeah.
They just can't see it.
No, they haven't done it. And also I come from a family of like everybody, like my parents are self-sufficient people. Like they don't ask for help for even for their own business. Like
Yeah.
I would say my father is a self-made millionaire. Like he's
Yeah.
one of those people that he's not formally educated. He barely has high school and he was a self-taught guy.
Right.
That's just what my mother was academic. She was skipped a grade, was a college professor at 23, the youngest. She was like academia. My dad was street smart. And with the two combined, they were a great force.
But
But
this was all before the internet. So
Yeah,
all
this
of
is
their
all-
experience and is
it's so
fantastic.
different.
but
It's so different.
It's
Mhm.
really
It's
different.
so different. And they're successful in their own business. But again, I'm trying to embark on a whole new way of doing business that nobody in my circle has ever done before. So I'm breaking new ground, thinking I could use my old ways and applying it to this new way of business. And it just was not working. How do you stand out in this global market? It's so noisy online. Everybody's got ads popping in your face like every 2 seconds. How do you stand out? Like,
And also,
there's-
I don't want to be like a shyster. Like, I don't want to be like, spend your money on me. You know, I'm offering a great thing and I'm a great voice teacher and I'm caring and all this stuff. But, you know, when you're selling it, sometimes you get that feeling like you're just trying to sell them something. You know, it's like,
well, that's the art of selling is
Yeah.
to not
Mhm.
sell.
right.
Yes.
Like there was a quote that really got to me. If you want to start selling more, sell less.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we've
And
been
that was-
listening a
yeah.
lot to that stuff too.
Yeah.
And that it really was like hit me because like you shouldn't have to convince people. You should attract people to
That's
you
it.
to where they see your stuff and go, oh, I want that, as opposed to
Yes.
come to me, you know,
Yes.
I'm gonna be great.
Yes.
No, people, and then there's like even sales strategy, like you have to push people away in a strange way. The more you
Yeah.
push people away, sometimes the more they actually want you. Like even in a sales call situation, there's times where it's like, do you want to do this? They're like, yeah. Are you sure? You don't seem very convinced. Yeah, I want to do it. Because you really don't have to do this, you know, if you don't want to. No, I want to do this. Like the more you push
Yeah,
away, the more they like snap back. It's a really weird psychology. I mean, all the stuff I've learned with my coaches. And so after 2 years of investing all my time, energy, and effort in this whole mom dance fitness program, nutrition, blah, blah, blah. Then I had another pivotal moment. So I had my first Hollywood summer tour in 3 years, finally was able to come back again. It
Okay, so
was not.
explain what that is. Explain what you just
So the
said.
Hollywood Summer Tour is a dance intensive for advanced dancers. I have kids to adults. They travel from all over the world to come to LA for a week or two. They take classes at dance studios. They meet with agents. They do photo shoots, music video shoots, demo reel shoots. We do seminars. We take them sightseeing, go to Disneyland, go to Beverly
Nice.
Hills, Santa Monica Beach. So they get like vacation, education, dance, Hollywood glam, all fun for the family. I love it. I love that event. I enjoy it, but I was my first time back in 3 years. Hotel costs, bus costs, everything just shot through the roof. And I'm like, I already spent some of these people's money and I can't afford all this stuff. So then I like the hotel that I had penciled in. When I reach out to them, I'm like, actually, I have a group. It's actually bigger than what I expected. They're like, well, we don't have room for you. So then I'm pivoting, panicking. My event planner was like sending out blasts, RFPs, if anybody knows what that is, Therese does, but
yes,
setting
this
it
is what
out
we
and
worked
all
on together, by the way.
this is the stuff that Teresa used to help me
Yes,
with, right?
yes.
And then I had a new contact at
Yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say your old job.
Yeah,
but
sure. No,
LA
LA Tourism and Convention Board.
I had a new contact, so I had zero relationship with this person. So I'm like, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I need your help.
Yep.
You know? So we're trying to find a hotel. I found a hotel. I actually got a very reasonable rate. Anyway, so I was like very resourceful, you know, but I had a very limited amount of cash because I was only using the cash that I had just collected from the new clients, but I'd already spent the cash from the old clients that registered 2 years ago or a year ago. So that was another event where I didn't make any money again. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to figure something out. I need to make this event run and be able to make some money.
Yes.
So here's what I did. I took the framework of everything that I learned with my coaches in my mom dance fitness program. and I created another offer, but for dancers. I used the framework for my coach, how to pitch in front of an audience. First time I ever sold in person. So I did this presentation in front of my clients. I basically pitched them a 6-month mentorship program where I would take their dancers and we do a dive deep: headshots, resumes, demo reels, social media marketing, websites, how to get an agent, nutrition, how to finances, taxes, college prep, basically taking the trained high-level dancer and let's make a career. And I pitched it and I sold it. And I think I made $17,000 in 24 hours.
So who did you pitch it to? Your people? Just your people?
But the people at the Hollywood Summer Tour, the event. So because I was like, I'm doing this event and not making a dime. So I need to figure out how to make the money.
It's the big offer that we talked about. You go to the thing.
Yes, it's kind of like when you go to a live event and they pitch you at the end with another big offer, right? And then I've had this whole like early bird discounts if you commit in 24 hours, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I did, and I pitched, and then I made 17 grand in 24 hours. I was like, oh, what did I just do? I just created something new.
Now you have to plan it.
So now I got to actually like make it work and figure this out. So I tell my coach, I'm like, so I kind of did something. I kind of just like created a new offer on the fly and created this presentation based on what you already taught us. So I have this new offer. How do I market 2 offers at the same time? He's like, you don't. And I was like, what do you mean I don't? He's like, you need to pick one. I'm like, what do you mean I need to pick one? I'm like, why can't I do both? I've always had multiple businesses. He goes, yeah, that's your problem. You need to focus. You need to pick one and you need to make that your signature program. I'm like, but I spent like 2 years on this mom dance fitness program. It's like my new baby and I love it. And it's amazing. And my clients are doing amazing. He's like, well, then don't do the dance program. I'm like, but I can't. I just collected their money and I have to do something. He's like, well, you need to figure it out and you need to make a decision. And I cried about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what have I done? And then he was like, because your messaging is going to be confusing. People are going to be like, are you a mom dance fitness person? Are you a dance mentor? Like, what are you? And people are going to be confused. And when you have your personal stuff, like you want to be known for something. Like Tony Robbins is known for his personal development. But if suddenly he's like trying to sell cars on his page, you'd be like, huh? What is your focus? What are you doing? You need to be known for one thing. And I was like, but I've never done just one thing. I've always done multiple things. And I'm like, it's still dance. It's just a different market. He's like, you're going to spread yourself thin. And in the end, you're not going to win big. He's like, I'm telling you, trust me on this one. You need to pick one. And I made the very difficult decision to put my mom dance fitness business aside. Now I had clients existing still in it, and they're still in it actually right now, but I stopped pitching it and selling it on a grand scale. It's still there and it's still available for anybody that wants it.
Find it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a whole, like, I created so much content. It's ready to go for anybody that wants to jump in, but I just stopped pushing it on my social media marketing. And so to focus, and that's when things really started to take off. I guess 6 months. I think I've made over 130,000.
Wow.
And over 100,000 of that was my dance mentorship program. And that's really when I was like, I'm thinking, oh, wow, I'm really onto something. Yeah. And that's when my coach was like, you made the right choice. He's like, that's your signature offer. He's like, there's a lot of mom fitness stuff out there. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but I do dance and dance. He's like, yeah, that's cute. But sounds like you're much stronger in mentoring dancers. You already have a track record. You already have helped people. You already have testimonials. Even though this program is new, you have authority in that market. And then even he's like, in your events, he's like, you already do too much, but you have your live dance events and you can tie that in. So I'm basically, one event kind of feeds into the other. So if you attend my live event, you're going to be pitched to the online event. If you're on the online event, I'm going to pitch you to the live event. And this never ending cycle of, and I literally have clients that have done, I have a London Spring Tour, which is another event that I do in London. I have the Hollywood Summer Tour. And then I have some clients that I literally have done all 3. They're in my mentorship program right now. And they've already done so it's, if you get that, that's the other thing too, I've learned with even my business, instead of focusing on high volume of sales, if you actually have less clients at a higher ticket, but you really nurture them and really help them, then you can have those repeat customer that could actually generate way more money than having like 100 clients that are a small ticket item. And then they get better results because they invest more. When they invest more, they respect your time. They actually put more effort, and in the end, they get better results. And then they give you better testimonials, and then it attracts more people, and then they refer a friend. And everybody wins. It's a weird,
Right,
and
and it's
that's
a great program for them. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's like sounds fantastic. Like, as a
Yeah.
young dancer, it's exactly what you want. Someone to take care of all the stuff, show you what to do. I mean, you don't, it's just like you paying for that business coach. These dancers are paying you for the same thing.
And there's many times when I've taken these free classes. And again, as I said, all these free classes, I do find valuable. I grab some sort of golden nugget out of it. But when it's free, you don't focus on it as much. And, it's like, okay, I don't have time to watch the live event. I'll watch the replay when it comes out in a couple days. And then you just kind of, you dabble in it. But when you're paying the money,
you show up,
committing yourself to be able to be somewhere and truly learn it, then you do gain more from it.
Yeah, no, I found that's the other thing too, is a huge reality check, is I thought the less you charge, you would attract more people and get more customers and make more money. That's what I thought. It's actually the reverse. The more you charge, you need less clients. Like just simple math. If you're charging $100 a month for your clients, you need 100 clients to make 10 grand, or you can have a high ticket item for 5K and have 2 clients. You think it's easier to get 2 clients or 100 clients?
Right. Exactly.
2 clients is way more easy to manage. And guess what? Those lower paying ticket items, people demand more, they complain more, they expect more. And it's like, and they actually would, 100 clients paid low ticket would give you a headache, rather than 2 appreciative, hardworking clients that you could pour more into as well. And they also get better results. It's better for everyone. So this whole high ticket coaching model is definitely, I've grasped, I finally felt like I've figured it out. Like I finally feel like, and that was the thing too, that I kind of made the realization. I was like, maybe the Mom Dance Fitness program was the training that I needed to be able to launch this one. Cause my coach said, he goes, this is $1 million business. No, he's like, nobody's doing what you're doing. You've created a whole lane for yourself. Whereas in Mom Dance Fitness, I felt like it's still a very noisy market. There's still a lot more competition.
And I always felt that with the Hollywood Summer Tour. I mean, working with you and your husband, Menina, and seeing what you did for these kids, that was so unique. And now you're kind of taking that virtually and you're allowing, more people around the world to experience it in a different way. And like you say, more high volume, high caliber stuff that you can deal with. So it's amazing what you've created. It's,
and what's amazing is that you really just created it. There was, you don't even know this about me, but there was one summer where, because I had exchange students from China living with me. They're like my sons. I've had them for years. And I somehow fell into, somebody asked me if I wanted to start a camp, and with these kids from China who want to learn about colleges. And watch, this could be her next idea. And and I was like, yeah, because I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting the families, I enjoyed helping these kids find their way around and introducing them to their things. And my kids love their culture. And we went through this whole thing. So I had a summer where I brought these kids out, and they got to go to a regular camp. And, I would take them to Universal Studios and see UCLA and see USC. And it was a very good experience. It actually set up, once it was set up, it's something that can pay quite well. Unfortunately, COVID hit that next summer, so I didn't continue, because I thought that would be something I'd be doing every summer.
Yeah.
And now I'm not sure, but I did experiencing that. And it was so interesting because I created that out of really nothing. I mean, that wasn't me as a voice teacher. It was just me, that I'm good at talking to people and setting things up. I bet you could start a camp for anything, Menina. Like, I bet you could start anything, but it is true. You probably have to focus, but
that's been the hardest.
But in a year,
say no to other things.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean there's not something else coming after this is really established. There's a point that this will run itself for you, and you may add the new thing,
and then focus on that for a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously your track record has always been about pivoting and creating the next big thing for you. So,
Yes, kickball change, pivot, hair whip.
Yeah. I think your brain needs that. I think your brain needs something just really stimulating, and that you can bite into it. And I think it's amazing to hear you think. I think there was a point that she and I were just sitting in awe, listening to you chatter on in the nicest way, and just everything was fascinating that came out of your mouth. So I think it's amazing that you're not. And, I bet there's moms like you that haven't done what you've done, but they have all the ideas. Maybe they weren't brought up in a family that had their own business, and they didn't have these connections, but they're dying to do something. And I hope hearing you inspires them, because you created brand new things, one after the other, until you found something that worked right now.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll have this conversation next year, and there'll be a whole nother business model.
Oh, I'm excited.
Focus. Yes. Yes.
But I think I'm onto something here. Like I really like there's times in your life where you're like, okay, this is it. Like the Hollywood Summer Tour was one of those moments for me. I started in 2006 and I'm going on the 18th year, which is crazy. And I still love it. Like it's still one of those things in my life that I treasure, I appreciate, I love it. And taking it away for 3 years, it made me love it even more. But then I've also feel like I've actually created something almost better for my lifestyle right now as a mom, because I love that I get to work from home. I'm in my home office right now. My 2-year-old's playing very quietly, like a miracle.
We haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
We haven't him yet. And I literally just go downstairs, my bedroom's upstairs, go downstairs, I can cook a meal, come here. I don't have to commute anywhere. I don't have to have childcare. I get to create my content. I get to work with my clients from home. I'm not commuting anywhere. I'm not wasting that time. I can travel and take my business with me and still do it. I was in Trinidad last month with my husband and the kids, and we were I was doing my business from the hotel room and doing conference calls and all the things, working with my clients. I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool business model that I've created for myself. I get to do what I love. I get to be with my family. I get to be mobile if I want to stay home or if I want to go on a trip, and I can still take, the work with me. I love what I do. My clients are doing really well. One of my 17-year-old clients, dancing 2 years, I helped her get her very first gig dancing with Shania Twain in her music video that just released, Giddy Up. And that, even just seeing their wins is like, it fuels me. It gives me so much joy that I'm like, wow, I just helped this dancer make her dream come true. And that makes me feel good, helping and changing the lives of these kids that are so big and bright-eyed. And, and their parents also too are just like fascinated, like, wow, I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, you're opening even my own mind. And I'm still creating the program as we speak. Like I'm recording new lessons.
Yes.
And I'm building it with my clients too. Like I had an outline of what I wanted, but I'm like, what else do you want? What else do you want to learn?
You can bring in the specialists. You can bring it all to them.
Yeah. And I've been bringing people in. I have a mental skills educator that I hired. I have a tax preparer that specializes in dance that I've hired. I've got the college prep that I've hired. I do bring in guest speakers every week. I just had yesterday Jessica Castro. She's on The Greatest Showman. She danced with Beyonce and Janet Jackson on the Super Bowl halftime show. And next week I've got Sophia Lucia, who's the Guinness Book of World Records for 55 pirouettes. Who's
cool.
Very well known on social media as well. So I'm bringing in industry pros and bringing in other specialists and experts, and to be able to create this comprehensive program for these dancers and create something great
on it.
Yes.
And I'm focused. That's the other thing too, because
you're making an incredible product because you're focused.
Yes. And that has been so hard for me, because that was the one thing that I'd always been frustrated of this. I felt like I was a jack of all trades and a master of none, because I was good at everything that I tried and I liked everything that I tried. So I would do, I can do this. I can do this. I can, like you just like earlier. Oh, yeah, I can video edit. I can do this, and I can do choreography, and I can do that. Like I can do everything, but I'm like, I'm not a master at everything. I'm just good at everything. And I need to be really, I need to hone in on what my gift is. And I really feel like my gift is, I'm a connector. That's one thing that really I'm really good at connecting the right people. And that comes from, I guess, maybe even event planning, is that you're constantly connecting. I need to book this person and that person in this venue and this hotel and this whatever. And I'm putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And that is my gift. And that's where I feel like this program has been a dream come true for me, because I'm now able to use my own expertise and connect to the right people to help serve my clients. And, it's been a blessing.
That's
like
amazing.
I've already gotten so many tips from you just in this conversation. We're jotting little notes down, but it's so true, because I always talk about, I feel like I've already been working that muscle of multiple things. I've been involved in so many different things, but like you say, you're so spread thin. You're not the master of any one of those things, but you're, putting so much out there. So, so thank you for that advice and those tips, because, I think even both of us maybe struggle with that a little bit, because Ariella does so many things as well.
It's hard. It's hard to focus on one, especially when you're a mom. You're a multitasker. That's like what you do. You're like, hold something over here with the baby on the hip, and then like stirring the pot, and then the phone rings, and then the computer.
What you're doing is amazing. I think I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we would love to have you back later on, find out what the next
Sure.
pivot is, the next
Yeah.
shift. And there's
Sure,
so
you
much
can,
more.
I can give you an update on where this is going, if it's changed
Exactly.
directions, or if I'm still on the same
Exactly.
path, or
and we're
Yeah.
going to put all your contact info in the description.
Yes.
People
Sure.
can find
Yep.
you. And it's
Amazing.
really been inspiring me. You've really inspired me because I'm
Mhm.
also in the arts, and
Mhm.
I have a lot of similar things like you. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I could do this, you know.
Your
but
brain
I-
is going.
Yeah.
Focus is also really important, and I'm also creating programs right now, and it's really inspiring. And the way you are inspiring these young people, I hope you're also inspiring some of our listeners out there that have some ideas as well. I
Mhm.
mean, you've
Other
been
moms
an
out there. Yeah.
incredible guest. It's
Yeah.
like we're so lucky that we got to talk to you today.
And like she
Oh,
said, we
thank
still
you.
have thousands of questions. So there will have to be a part 2 at some point.
We
That's
texted you.
part 2, where we'll just follow up questions and
Yes,
on social
yes.
media, I'll be like, how do you
Yes.
do this? How do you do that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so
Exactly.
much for doing our show. I
Thank
mean, you are
you.
doing so well in your business, and we're really honored and humbled that you came onto our show today.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
So
so
for
much.
all you other moms out there, go follow your dreams.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cut, edit.
And cut.
Mom and Tom. Two passionate and busy moms sharing the quest to achieve entrepreneurial success.